Geoffrey Clifton-Brown.
Mr Deputy Speaker, could I congratulate the Chairman and his committee for producing a very comprehensive and constructive report on this very all-encompassing subject. In his report, he says, "We think the government's abandonment of its proposed formula for determining housing need is the correct decision." So for many areas like the Cotswolds, where the formula will have produced a staggering 144% increase in housing numbers, but it wouldn't have addressed the affordability ratio, could he suggest what his committee's recommendations to the government would be on a revised approach? And importantly, if affordability and housing mix, as in the need for smaller properties or flats for first-time buyers and elderly people who are going to downsize, will be considered?
Clavette.
I think the housing needs formula is a desperately difficult one, and I think the government has a difficult job. It's right we should try and have a housing needs formula because it can reduce the amount of time that's taken at planning inquiries on the local plan, which nearly always devolve down to long arguments about housing numbers, which is not really helpful. So I think it is, and if local areas have got particular problems, I think they should highlight them, because a one-size-fits-all needs assessment doesn't necessarily meet the requirements of every individual authority. In terms of the particulars of sorts of housing, I think local councils ought to be given an opportunity to be more granular in their approach to the sorts of housing. Indeed, we made a past recommendation in a past report that specifically in every local plan there should be not an assessment just of housing numbers, but particularly about elderly persons housing, how many of those units should be built and where they should be built to make sure that there is provision for elderly people going forward.